What's up, everyone? Back for another non-alcoholic beer review. And the beer I'm reviewing today comes from Go Brewing, and they are out of Naperville, Illinois, and this is their Street Cred After Hours. So they're calling this one a dark brew with rich vanilla, and on the side of the label it says a malt beverage with vanilla. It comes in at less than 0.5% alcohol by volume. No IBUs listed in time of review. This can is just under 3 months old. So this is the first beer that I'm ever trying from Go Brewing, and they firmly landed on my radar late last year because a very good friend of mine and fellow beer tuber Rod over at Raj Beer Ventures, he actually interviewed one of the co-owners of Go, Joe Chura. It was a live, I'm pretty sure it was a live interview. It was about an hour long and very informative. And also Rod had about a half dozen beers from Go that he reviewed on the channel over the course of, I think it was a couple months. He may have actually posted them actually a bit quicker. I don't remember, but I watched the vast majority of them plus that interview, and I was sold. So, you know, I'm always looking for new non-alcoholic beers and breweries, and this is one that I've been wanting to try for at least 6 months now. I picked this one up at AJ's Beer Warehouse in Henrietta, New York. They're outside of Rochester, and shout out to them. They have a fantastic selection of beers in general, but their non-alcoholic game is fantastic. I saw a couple of different beers from Go, and I picked this one up because it just sounded the most appeasing to me. But yeah, shout out to AJ's. If you're ever in the Western New York area, more specifically the Rochester, Henrietta area, check them out. They have, again, amazing selection of beer, and their non-alcoholic selection is probably the best I've seen in Western New York. So anyway, this beer, they're pretty much going for a non-alcoholic vanilla porter. That's what they're going for. On the back here it says, our new dark vanilla brew is a symphony of the knowledge we've accumulated that stands tall on the foundation of our past achievements. It's a luxurious blend that's both timeless and innovative. And they actually have the ingredients: water, barley, hops, and yeast, along with vanilla. So yeah, I'm really excited about this one. Let's crack it open, get in the glass. I've enjoyed a couple different darker non-alcoholic beers. I think they work better than a lot of the lighter ones for me personally. We'll see how this one goes. We're using the Hot Butcher glass because Naperville is a suburb outside of Chicago. So I figured, hey, some unity here, right? Oh, the head's a little bit lively. I'm trying to fit the entire thing in here. We'll see if I can. Now this is pouring out more like of a brown ale, if I'm being honest with you. In the glass, it's going to look more like a porter, but it definitely has more of a brown ale kind of look to it, if I'm being honest with you. So throw that over here. So yeah, in the glass, hold it up to the light first. Yeah, it has a very dark brown look to it. On camera, it's going to look probably more, like I said, in that kind of I'm going to say this kind of looks more in that realm of a dark beer of some sort, but more of like a brown ale, I would say, than anything. Had about a 2-finger of this lightly tan-colored head. There is some remnants here. It looks like maybe there's some vanilla hanging out, but kind of looks different. But yeah, I mean, outside of the head dissipating, I noticed that with a lot of non-alcoholic beers, the head kind of just dissipates. And now I swirled it back up, but it's like fizzing away. So that's pretty wild. Anyway, let's get a nose. Oh, that actually smells really nice. Big blast of vanilla and chocolate, like a cocoa powder chocolate. Wow. That smells gnarly. Yeah, vanilla, chocolate, a little bit of like a roasted malt character. It does not smell like a lot of non-alcoholic beers, because not to me, and I don't know how it is for anybody out there that drinks non-alcoholic beers, but there are certain styles where it's like I smell it and I'm like, yeah, I know this is non-alcoholic or not a beer. This doesn't have that issue. Roasted malt, chocolate, vanilla, maybe a touch of coffee. Maybe even a little bit of like a nondescript darker fruit like a cherry. But if they're going for a vanilla porter, this smells really nice. Like the roasted malt quality is more like toasty and roasty as opposed to straight on roasted. Wow, that smells absolutely lovely. Wow. One more swirl and sniff here, because this might be the best smelling non-alcoholic beer that I've ever had. I'm being honest with you. Yeah, if you like vanilla and chocolate and you like darker beers like the aroma, this is like perfect for what they're going for, in my opinion. I can't wait to get into it. Cheers, everybody. Nose is way better. The taste, if I was doing this blind, would I call it a non-alcoholic beer? I might call it a non-alcoholic beer or a very light beer, because I was hoping that the body would have more of like a viscosity to it. The body's like higher side of light, lower side of medium. It is non-alcoholic, got to keep that in mind. But if they're trying to brew a vanilla porter, the body's a little bit of a letdown. But that's kind of what I notice with a lot of non-alcoholic beers is the body and the mouthfeel don't really represent a beer a lot of times. So you got to kind of look past that. I'm going to try to look past it here. Now, the body being thin, it is what it is. The mouthfeel, I was hoping it would be a little bit more like smooth and creamy. It has a firm carbonation. This is like moderately carbonated. It's smooth to some degree, but it doesn't really have a creaminess to it. So body is like I said, it is what it is. The mouthfeel, it's okay. The taste, I like parts of this and I don't like other parts of this. So it's like a tale of two beers. Right up front, I get what could be a roasted malt kind of character. It's more roasty and toasty. Almost, when I was pouring this out, I said it kind of looked like a brown ale when I was pouring it out. In the glass, a little bit darker. But it does give me a little bit of roasty, toasty vibes, which is nice. That chocolate, it's cocoa powder for sure. It has like this cocoa powder kind of feel, or like a baker's chocolate. It's more of, not like a straight on like creamy chocolate. It's more of like a powder-esque kind of feel to it. The vanilla is omnipresent. It's nice, the vanilla in here. It's not too heavy-handed. I think the nose was a bit more intense with the vanilla character, but it's definitely in the character, or in the on the palate. It has a beautiful like vanilla chocolate thing for sure. However, halfway to 2/3 way through the palate, I get hit with something that I sometimes get in real beer, especially real darker beers that have one specific ingredient, and that's lactose. This is giving me a little bit of metallic vibes that I get from milk stouts a lot of times. More often than not, it's in the nose and not on the palate, but sometimes it does hit on the palate, and that's what I'm kind of getting here, a slight tinge of like a metallic vibe. I will say though, as I continue to drink this, that metallic vibe has kind of dissipated. I think it was just the initial kind of shock to my palate, and my palate needed to get acclimated after a half dozen sips. It is now firmly acclimated to the point where it's like, okay, it's not really metallic, but it's slightly astringent. There is a characteristic in here, and we're probably all going to perceive it differently, that you can tell, okay, this is a non-alcoholic beer. It's not a real beer. However, I really do like that vanilla chocolate vibe. It is somewhat sweet, but it's not cloying. Back of the palate has a nice, like, semi-dry kind of finish. Really no bitterness to speak of here. I wish it was a little bit more bitter. Now, it's a bit older, at just under 3 months old. And that's partly my fault. When I picked this one up, I want to say it was like 2 months old, maybe 6 to 8 weeks old. I've been kind of waiting on it a little bit. It is a darker beer, which is the reason why I kind of waited on it. If this was an IPA, I would try to drink it right away. So maybe fresh, there's maybe a little bit more bitterness. Yeah, I mean, this is what I'll say. It's for what they're going for. What do they call it again? A dark brew with rich vanilla. I would say the vanilla is rich to some degree. It's a dark brew with that, roasty, toasty malt character. The chocolate. I love the combination of the vanilla and chocolate. However, the body and the mouthfeel, along with that slight astringent kind of feel halfway through the palate, it loses some points with me. However, would this satiate myself if I was wanting something that was a porter or stout with vanilla, but non-alcoholic? I think to some degree it would, for sure. Like, it's not perfect, and I have not had one non-alcoholic beer that was like, okay, this is definitely exactly like a beer. Haven't had it yet. But I could throw back a couple of these, and I think it would satiate my want and need for a darker beer just without the alcohol. I do wish that slight astringency wasn't there for me personally, and I do wish the body was a little bit bigger. I've had some non-alcoholic beers where the body was actually appropriate for the style. So I was hoping something like medium, touch over medium for this, and it's actually under medium, more like higher side of light. It's somewhat thin and watery. So if you're a stickler for bodies and mouthfeels for darker beers, then you probably would kind of maybe not want to pick this one up. But for my first go beer, I think it's pretty solid. It's not blowing me away, but it won't stop me from trying out others from them. So I did see on Untappd they had a Street Cred that was a nitro beer, and I've only had, I think, one other nitro non-alcoholic beer, and that was Guinness 0.0. So it would have been fun to try that. I don't know if they'll ever release that in cans again, but I would like to try that one out. And there's others from Go that I would like to try. So anyway, rating on this one. Ratings with non-alcoholic beers, you take them with a grain of salt. I've only had about around 20 at this point, so I'm just starting to really get into them over the last year and review them and whatnot. I would say this is stylistically, for what they're going for, a vanilla porter with no alcohol or very little alcohol, I think they did a pretty good job. I'd say like 3.75 into the low 4 range. My personal preference, I'm going to give Go Street Cred After Hours. I'm going to give this a, we'll go high 3.5. I'll go 3.6 out of 5. That's the best I could do on this one. If not for that slightly astringent kind of feel halfway through the palate and the body and the mouthfeel, this would definitely be in like the high 3.75 range, I would say, maybe even the low 4, like I said, for the style. But I think this is pretty solid for what it is. I wouldn't go, run out and go pick this one up instantly or anything if you see this review and it sounds interesting, but I would say check it out if you like vanilla porters to see what you think. But keep in mind, it's a non-alcoholic beer, and I've yet to have one that kind of replicates a regular beer, no matter the style. So I think this is a pretty fun one, and I'm going to pick up more for sure. I want to try out some of their other beers. So yeah, 3.6 out of 5 for Go's Street Cred After Hours. Price point availability, price point, I saw it at the place at AJ's, I think it was $13.99 6-pack. On their website, $13.99 6-pack. I think I paid like $2.50, $2.49 for that can. I'm fine with it. Now, beer is always a little bit more expensive because of the process. And then availability, they have a beer finder on their website that I saw. They also have you can shop on their website and pick up beer straight from them. And I think with non-alcoholic beer, you can pretty much ship the vast majority of the states in the U.S. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure because it contains less than 0.5% alcohol in each can. So if you're curious, you can probably go to their website and pick some up and have it shipped to you. If not, keep an eye out for them. Again, here in the Western New York area, I have not seen them in Buffalo, but I did see them at AJ's. And I think they had like 3 different varieties of their beer. So next time I'm in Henrietta, I'm going to pop in and see what else they have from Go, and I'll definitely grab another one to review. So yeah, anyway, if you had this one before, post in the comment section. Let me know what you thought about it. Like I said, good first impression, but not great. But at the same time, it is what it is, and I got to be honest with you. And while I did enjoy this one to some degree, there are some faults with it for my own personal palate that doesn't really excite me, to say the least. I'll drink the rest of that. I want to say these are like under 100 calories, most of the non-alcoholic beers, so it's not like you're wasting a lot of calories like you would. Let's say this was a regular, 6% vanilla porter, probably be 250, 300 calories. So that might be going down the drain if that was the case, but it's not. And I'll drink the rest of it. So again, if you had this one before, post in the comment section. Less than 0.5%, you can't tell there's any alcohol in here, which is the beauty about non-alcoholic beers. There basically is no alcohol in here, and you can't taste it. So that's a win in itself. Anyway, I appreciate everybody stopping by for another non-alcoholic beer review. Appreciate it. To the next one. Cheers.